Patreon Q&A 153. I'm going to be going into spoilers for all of the series I'm going to be talking about, so tread carefully. Jared B asks, why do you think 1 is revealing so much this early? We're seeing Metal Bat come back, Brave Giant, Drive Knight's display of power, the Psychic Sister arc reveals, a Mind Mask's true nature, and a lot of God and Blast stuff. I feel like there won't be as much content for the upcoming arcs post-Monster Association. So I know you're not asking if the series is going to end soon, Jared, but this reminds me of a lot of the questions I've been getting, especially throughout this year. So I just want to use this video as a way to explain why things are being set up the way that they are, and why also the series is not ending anytime soon. So first of all, I think all of these new developments through the redraws and the retcons and the new story adaptation that we see through the manga's continuity is all for the sake of strengthening the story for the ever-expanding audience, I guess. Because honestly, all of this stuff has already been established. Like, you can go back and reread all of season 1 or even watch it, and literally every single storyline for the rest of the series was set up within that time span. However, a lot of it was subtle, and you really wouldn't pick up on it unless you were like a super hardcore fan. And I think either 1 himself or maybe somebody from his team discovered that and gave him some feedback and was like, hey, you know, maybe this is a little too subtle, and it's probably a good idea to expand this stuff early on so people will fully understand where the series is headed. Because as an audience grows, it's bound to get more and more normies or casuals, since they always make up the majority of a fandom or a community or something. And with this influx of, you know, casuals or normies, you're gonna have people that don't pick up on those subtleties like the hardcores do, meaning that they're probably going to lose interest in the series because they don't really understand what's going on, or they don't see its projected future. So in order to mitigate that, I think 1 has decided to be less subtle about his storytelling. So that's why I think we see all of these storylines being way more apparent at this point. And then brings me to the other part of your question. It doesn't seem like there won't be much content for the upcoming arcs post-Monster Association, and I honestly think quite the opposite. There's actually almost too much content for the upcoming arcs, because after this we're going to be going into the ninja stuff, the Neo heroes, the organization. That's going to take up the second third of the series, in my opinion, and then the last third is going to be like all of the God stuff. And like I said, all of that stuff was set up in the first season, but just a little too subtly. So now 1 is strengthening that and giving everyone a reason to be excited for the rest of the series rather than just like the hardcores. So One Punch Man is not ending soon. It's not ending at the end of this Monster Association arc. It's not going to end with Saitama fighting Garo, or at least in my opinion it's not. Of course, there's a chance that it could. Mangakas and Japanese companies make bizarre decisions like that all the time, so maybe. But I have faith that 1 isn't going to do that. But I'm pretty confident One Punch Man is going to be one of those series that takes a very long time to finish. And not because I want it to. It just feels like that's like a realistic projection for the series. PandatheMan asks, the more series I finish, the more I find that few ever spend more than a chapter or 2 with the characters post-final battle, and all you see is the protagonist is older and has kids. Some don't even give you that and just abruptly end. I wish we got to see a bit more of certain characters' lives. What do you personally prefer to see at the end of the series you follow? For me personally, as long as the series ends with nearly no stones left unturned, and nearly all of the character arcs happening, and all plot lines reasonably sealed, then I'm fine with it, even if it does end just super abruptly, like an 80s action movie or something. Samurai asks, who would win in a battle between Raid Suit Sanji versus Yamato? So as you're saying, it's a little too early to tell, but right now it seems like maybe Yamato might be a little stronger than Sanji, and that might anger some people, whatever. We don't know for sure yet, I'm just taking a guess. But at the minimum, they're like, I don't know, on the same level possibly, so it would probably be pretty competitive, I guess. Once we see what happens with Sanji versus Queen and Yamato versus Kaido, then we'll, you know, definitely have a better understanding of who could hypothetically win. Adonis G asks, will we see a confrontation with God sooner than we thought? The Saitama versus Orochi redraw showed how God could be summoned to Earth. I'm wondering if this is foreshadowing something in the near future. This is going to happen very far down the line in the story if it does happen. And that's because Orochi has to come back first to be the sacrifice. And in order to do that, I think Drive Knight is going to reconstruct him using the cells that he stole. And that plot line is going to play out during like the Organization Neo Heroes arc, at least in my opinion. And that might be how that arc ends, like accidentally bringing God back somehow. And then that leads us into like the final part of the series. So yeah, it won't be in the near future at all. This is like years from now stuff. First Wolf asks, what are the chances that Izuku's father is a hero operating in another country? I think like less than 20%. And that's because Izuku's whole identity at first was wanting to be a hero. And if his dad was a hero in another country, it would have been pretty weird that they never mention it, especially in the beginning when they talk about his dad. Don't you think it would have came up that, you know, his dad is also a hero? So if it randomly turns out that he is a hero in another country, dare I say it's straight up bad writing by Horikoshi to never even insinuate that this was a thing throughout all 320 plus chapters. Masterkev asks, do you think the American hero is going to introduce an American hero sidekick that resembles Deku? I don't think so, mainly because I think when the American hero along with the other international heroes does come over, I don't think they're going to bring sidekicks with them. The feeling that I get is they're kind of just coming over. I mean, they could bring sidekicks with them, but if they do, I don't think they'll get too much spotlight. And I'm also not sure why they would resemble Deku, unless you're thinking of something that I'm not. Dino W asks, if you were Mark, what order would you want to do these tasks and why? Taking on the Battle Beast, stopping the Sea Squid invasion, or thwarting the Flaxens? So I personally like to do the most difficult things first, so I would definitely take on Battle Beast, and then if I was able to get past him, then take on the Flaxens, and then just take care of the Sea Squid, since they seem like the easiest to probably take care of. Little Ferrari asks, who do you see dying by the end of One Punch Man? I could see Blast sacrificing himself. Yeah, I think Blast is like the top candidate for the good guys to die, but aside from him, Drive Knight is absolutely going to die because he kind of has to, you know, he's like the mad cyborg. But aside from them, maybe Pig God. You know, maybe Pig God sacrifices himself using his secret ability. But other than that, it's anybody's guess, really. It's hard to predict with this series. DJ Monkey 115 asks, don't take this too seriously, but what is the disaster level of Sandy Cheeks? She has crazy feats like karate kicking a giant anchor 510 yards, flipping entire buildings in Bikini Bottom and trying to find SpongeBob. She seems to have genius level intellect, creating shrinking submarines, time travel devices, rockets that can leave the ocean and go to the moon, and she knows karate. That's still not taking into consideration her hibernation form when she's woken up from it. So those are pretty impressive feats, but nothing that I don't think is like god level. Maybe she's like high dragon. I don't know if she's quite above, but you know, dragon for sure, somewhere in there. Delamante asks, have you seen the theory on how Shaki was a part of the Rocks Pirates and how her and Rayleigh are Mihawk's parents? So her and Rayleigh being Mihawk's parents is definitely out there, but there is like, you know, kind of some compelling evidence to it. I mean, it mostly kind of rides on the fact that Rayleigh has like the same kind of, you know, floral pattern that Mihawk does. And I really wouldn't be surprised if this is what Oda wrote. But the one thing that doesn't make sense is Mihawk's eyes. Neither of them have those eyes, so why does he have it? I mean, there's also the chance that it is a devil fruit, and I'm pretty sure it hasn't been confirmed nor denied that Mihawk does have a devil fruit. I don't think it said it in a Weaver card or something. And obviously it's heavily implied throughout the series that he doesn't have a devil fruit, but his eyes are very peculiar and it is a part of his moniker after all. So I need an explanation for those before I'm sold on Shaki and Rayleigh being his parents. Sean H asks, do you think Hikari's ex mentioned could be Mei Mei? Yes, I do think it's Mei Mei, and I actually talked about this in my 153 review. Is that when that was revealed at the end? I mean, it only makes sense. And like I also said in my review, Gege has been like ending his chapters on characters saying these things that have multiple meanings, and I think that is one of them for sure. You know, that just deepens Hikari along with Mei Mei and just the inner cast, but also raises some questions like how old were they when they were together? Because Hikari is like, what, 17 right now, or 18 maybe, because he got held back. And Mei Mei is like, I don't know, 38 or something. L asks, I haven't liked a lot of the the redraws and story changes one has made. 109 was the best yet. What's your opinion of this redraw and the redraws in general? Take care. I think it's unfortunate that the redraws have to happen, and it's definitely taking its toll on the hardcore community for sure, but I think the ends justify the means for sure. And in 2 years, you know, most of the community is going to forget that this was even a thing. It's just going to be something that like the hardcores will boast about in the future. You know, whatever they could say to make themselves feel superior to the others. But I think the redraws serve a very important purpose, and I'm on board with them. The only thing that I don't like is the disciples and the private military company stuff. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. If you would like to be in next week's Q&A, simply check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. It will give you access to this video, and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.